Hello and a very warm welcome to an exciting new edition of Simply Electric, where we proudly introduce the brand new and exciting Dacia Spring Electric. We have thoroughly prepared it for you as the Extreme 65 times, and we have also positioned the predecessor model right next to it so you can easily spot and identify the visual difference in this video. We want to show you, using the example of the Dacia Extreme 65, how Dacia has developed the base model. As a 45er, it starts at 16,900 euros, making it currently, I believe, one of the most price-attractive, cheapest electric cars on the market. But whether it really is that price-attractive, what it has to offer, what advantages and disadvantages the new Dacia Spring Electric has, we want to find out together with you in this video from the outside, from the inside, and in the detailed driving report, while also comparing it to the previous model now and then. Who's standing to the left? Lead. I'd say take a look to see if you're part of an einfach elektrisch community. If not, we would be happy if you support us with your subscription. It's completely free for you, but really helps us a ton with our work. Plus, you won't miss out on any future videos about electric cars and their latest developments. I would say, let's not waste any time and get started with the brand new Dacia Spring.
Komplett elektrisch.
And as always, we start from the outside, start from the front, take a look at the front section of the new Dacia Spring Electric design, and we'll see you next time. I think it's great that it now starts at just 16,900 euros.
Indeed.
I remember that the initial version started at just above 20,000 euros, if I'm not mistaken. Back then, there was even a subsidy in place, possibly making it more affordable than today's model. Indeed, these truly are curious times, observing how everything can remarkably change in just 1 or 2 years. For comparison, what is the competitive environment? Maybe the Leapmotor T03. Even though it starts at 18,900 euros, which is 2,000 euros more expensive, or if you want a bit of equipment, like here with the Extreme 65, then you're looking at, just as it stands here, also at a good 21,000 euros. That's being honest. The front is just nicely designed, everything a bit more modern. This new Dacia look, which we also know from other Dacia vehicles, has made its way into the Spring Electric. What he kept is the nose loader. We'll look at that later. Here, I think we have a nice daytime running silhouette, and then underneath, we probably still have Uncle Halogen. And then they have some kind of printed film around the license plate here, perhaps to give the whole thing a slightly more premium look. However, if we take a look at the predecessor, it actually hasn't become any more valuable at all. If we're being honest, it's even a bit cheaper because it feels like there's somehow a bit more painted surface here than on the new one.
Sure, yeah.
So basically, they've partially replaced the traditional paint with print, if you will. Yeah, let's take a look and walk all the way around the car right away to get a better view. Luckily, it's not that big. It's 3.70 meters, I think. We'll cover that in the specs. And basically, you're looking at something resembling a small compact car, like a mini SUV, isn't it, right?
Yeah, small car, right, almost?
Yes, it's a bit lifted, kind of jacked up, has plenty of clearance in the wheel arches. For all those who say, hey, you could lower it a bit, that might be possible, right?
I think yes.
Just a few fancy feathers in, trimmed, and then it continues. Yes, you're confident. There's a nice spring into probably like a film or some kind of plastic insert. Then integrated it there. I believe it gives a slightly more upscale look, and yes, from the side, especially here in the bash, I might actually find it a tiny bit more stylish than the previous version.
Certainly.
And especially when we then, so to speak, look at the head area, we also have there some more modern taillights, which certainly suits it well. We now also have this film here on the side again, which was previously all plastic, making it look somewhat more polished. This might even contribute to making it appear a bit beefier with the new rear part, giving it a slightly broader, more robust and reinforced stance. Because if we're really honest with ourselves, what do you really do to make such a Dacia Spring Electric appear more imposing? Besides this interesting mix of, a shark antenna. See, look, this could be a shark fin antenna up to here. But then there's this really big lump here, right?
That's quite a nice thick bar, isn't it?
So they thought, that little stick from the predecessor, if we just move over to the left, we can make it even bulkier and more robust, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, so you see the development here isn't going into the bodywork, the side mirrors, and the windows, but rather into the even chunkier kite, right? But I forgive him for that because he's obviously also in the entry-level price range. And naturally, Dacia probably has to meticulously scrutinize and monitor every single cent and even each subsequent decimal point to successfully deliver such a well-built and reliable vehicle to you at such an impressively affordable price point. Yeah, feel absolutely free to drop your thoughts in the comments on how you view this in a broader sense. What do you prefer, the new Dacia Spring electric model or the earlier version, its predecessor from back in the day? I'm really curious to see how you'll all evaluate that. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about the dimensions now. We're talking about a vehicle length of 3.70 meters and a vehicle width of 1.62 meters. With side mirrors, it is 1,77 meters wide, which means it fits on any left lane of a construction site. And for comparison, I am 1.85 meters tall, so basically longer than the Dacia Spring Electric with side mirrors. And it has a height of 1.51 meters, the wheelbase measures 2.52 meters, and in between those measurements, we now have a battery pack in the Extreme 65 model, which we're showcasing here, with a capacity of 25 kilowatt hours of usable energy net and gross totaling 26.8 kilowatt hours. We are powered at the front via a front axle motor offering 48 kilowatts, equivalent to 65 horsepower, and providing 113 newton meters of torque, and goes from 0 to 100 in a remarkable 13.7 seconds.
I'm going to test it because it seems faster.
We'll definitely bring the GPS along with the Draghi for a test, and it's supposed to reach 130 kilometers per hour at top speed, as I read. We definitely want to test that out with you. Yes, I've already mentioned to you folks that it's a muzzle loader. That basically means you are able to hear the, yes, 25 kilowatt hours net, 26.8 kilowatt hours gross. Yes, single-phase charging with $6.6 kilo. This means at the corresponding charging station secured with 32 amps, it should be back from 0 to 100% in a good 4 hours.
Yes, a typical garage charger.
If we have 16 amperes, it takes about twice as long. However, that should also happen overnight. Yes, optionally, we still have the CCS connector available, and we now have an impressive 34 kilowatts of power, which are supposed to ensure that if you ever require a rapid charge, because you're taking it beyond short trips to slightly longer mid-range journeys, then from 10 to 80% in approximately around 40 minutes or so. Yeah, so you have to restrict yourself a bit, but that's perhaps also due to the simple fact that you can get it from 16,900 euros. And of course, the expectations compared to the vehicles we usually show you with these huge charging speeds, then I have to reduce it. What I would have liked, I wish for all vehicles, and I also wished for the Leapmotor T03, which could perhaps be its direct competitor. Wanted a 3-phase 10 kW1, sure.
That would have been nice.
Using 16 amperes, you'll see your battery fully charged in a little over 2 hours. That's also practical when you're going shopping, when you're out shopping. There are many of you who are street parkers who just don't always have the time or the opportunity to charging more comfortably overnight in the cozy setting of the garage. Naturally, the speed of charging becomes quite significant when utilizing a public station, particularly during a prolonged shopping trip. Naturally, always an advantage. By the way, I was mistaken. Top speed.
Oh, not 130. No, not at all.
He's listed as 125, yes.
But I'll say, slow it down, police on your tail, pub in sight, then it should work out fine.
Yeah, all right. We will try that out later on the highway. In any case, it doesn't come with hood vents, so we'll forgive it. And he has the little stick of luck here on the side, and then you can just insert it like this. It's quite nicely done, but it also has a bit of insulation because we get a little bit of noise here. Here's the windshield washer fluid. The motor below has 48 kW, 65 horsepower, and 113 Nm torque. Above that, we have all the charging technology, 12-volt battery, and probably a bit of stuff here and there.
We can look through again. So under bond, we saved ourselves.
Yeah, well, it was the same with the T03. That's simply due to the price. What I would have totally loved, Dacia. What I would have truly loved is if they had just constructed a simple cover here, perhaps made out of durable plastic. In mass production, it might probably, I don't know, cost 10, 20 euros more, including installation. And then you would have had a small frunk here.
Sure, you truly would have, yes.
Right, and maybe it's possible to retrofit it in the aftermarket. Maybe there are people in the secondary market who design something like that. I'd absolutely celebrate that because when we show you the trunk, especially the rear trunk, having an available storage option up front could really prove to be extremely valuable, potentially worth its weight in gold. Yes. Now let's first hear what the Dacia Spring Electric sounds like, shall we?
Exactly. 3, 2, 1.
Full.
Now I'm a bit confused, you know? On the data sheet, we compare the manufacturers with the EV database. And on EV database, it says 35 liters in the front, like in the frunk. Not that they've taken something out again to have the car ready for us, you know, like with the C10. Exactly. And then maybe it has a frunk, right? So feel free to write it in the comments. So this car, as you saw, doesn't have one. If it had 35 liters in the front, I would definitely celebrate that accordingly, of course. Yeah, much more interesting for many than the frunk is obviously the trunk. Does it feature an electric tailgate or not? Can't we just skip that question?
Oh yeah.
He presses the button to unlock the trunk, and then the tailgate opens to reveal the cargo space. Dacia's advantage is that they don't even attempt to disguise the use of hard plastics here. Blow.
Blah blah steel.
Exactly, but honestly, it doesn't really bother me. No?
Looks better too, I think.
And what they've nicely done here in the hard plastic is definitely that you get a rear window washer.
Yes, great.
Well, I think that's really cool because it's quite practical. I tried it out now with our test subject, the NIO EL82. There will soon be a few more videos about this vehicle here on the channel. That's really chic. Yes, 308 liters are then basically the proportions of happiness. Oh, can you say it like that?
Yeah, but at least nicely covered on the sides too. You can't see any metal there.
Exactly, and here we also have a small felt hat shelf, but it's nicely solid. You can easily lay your coat or your jacket on it. So I have to say it's definitely completely sufficient. Let's not forget this car starts at 16,900 euros. And then we also have this insulation and plastic construction here. You can probably even take it out. And then you somehow have to stick something in there from the aftermarket, and then you actually have sort of a double loading floor, or just a little bit lower than that, but if we take a step back now, we're back again at the T03. We have a relatively high loading edge, meaning that when we lift the water crate in and set it down, we always have to maneuver it over this edge. It's naturally attributed to considerations for collision safety, and here this particular edge, of course, runs nicely along the entire mat.
Yeah, you could have just stuck a bit of plastic over it.
So here I think I'd get something because if you want to come here more often,
Then it becomes really quite dangerous.
but at least Dacia provides a solid mat here. With a touch of extra padding, it ensures that everything remains nicely stable. So I quite like that. And to make sure you can use those 300 liter even more intensively, we have the opportunity here, so to speak, in a hole as well, just like with the Leapmotor T03. Also fold down the rear seat backrest to expand from 300 liters to over 1,000 liters.
Oh, that's neat. Didn't think it would hit 4 digits.
I'd say we probably don't need camping mode as it's a bit too narrow for that. However, if you fold everything around, you might even manage to, like a little person sleeping in the fetal position, right?
Absolutely, yes. With the front seat up, there's still some space.
Because that's kind of the newest big thing, that people are now always camping in their cars, right?
Yes, precisely.
That started with Tesla, and now we have lots of cars with a camping mode and so on, right? So perhaps there are others out there. Feel free to write it down if you also ever camp with a Dacia Spring Electric or something similar. That'd be truly awesome, don't you think? Or simply go ahead and post it as a photo on our Facebook or Instagram page. See, it's a bit sharp-edged here, isn't it?
Yes, be careful. I noticed that earlier too.
Be careful here, especially in winter with cold fingers. Yeah, oh,
Gray.
so you don't cut yourself, right?
Yep.
Yeah, let me guess what doesn't work electrically.
It's likely operated manually indeed.
Not electric? Okay, yeah, I'm missing a handle here. They cut this out too somehow. So you just keep tapping here, right?
Yeah, always right into the dirt.
With the lion's claw, right? Yes. And then it closes, right? By the way, what I didn't find on the Dacia Spring Electric, nor did you, is a roof load. Since I haven't found them, an optional trailer load. If you have info on roof load, trailer load, maybe from aftermarket accessories, which Renault doesn't offer at all. I mean, Dacia doesn't offer from the start, but Dacia kind of feels like they're part of Renault. Then please also write it in the comments for the other colleagues in the community in case you know more than we do. Basic car YouTube enthusiast. Greetings and a warm welcome to the interior of the Dacia Spring electric vehicle. Outside, we've shown you everything. Now let's take a look inside. Here we have a wonderful single glazing. That doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing if the rest of the car is well insulated overall, ensuring comfort. Yeah, speaking of insulation, let's quickly check the door here. That sounds so hollow, right? Yes, that's fine. I don't want to make it seem worse than it is. In any case, we've got everything in hard plastic here, of course. But as I find, at least nicely grained. Again here with another type of graining, then just a plastic handle in grey. A bit of white below. Here nothing is insulated, no rubber, carpet or anything inside. But in any case, a large bottle of water fits in here. At least the small fries bag fits in here. If we're honest, everything's fine, right? Yeah. The only ones we pity are the fans of elbow resting sport up here or down here. It's certainly hard as a board. What do you say?
Fixed.
Plaster hard. Yeah, plaster hard. I'll shut it again, okay?
Yes, go.
Welcome to the dashboard area. Dacia really put in effort to redesign everything, and I have to commend them for their impressive work. I think it looks quite stylish, yeah.
Neat and tidy.
Mirror adjustment is on the left dashboard, cleverly saving space for door wiring, a well-done feature. Window controls are here in the center console, if you know that. Left, right, I think that's totally fine, and it looks really modern and chic here. That's a hard plastic, nicely grained. Here with the air vents, you can easily open, close, and adjust them. I find it super easy, I really like it. Also here with this bronze tone, really chic. I really have to praise Dacia. They really treated themselves there. Nice steering wheel, flat top and bottom, adjustable in height, but not in the steering distance. We know it from the T03, nice tactile buttons, very easy to use accordingly. Then we would probably be right here, I would assume. Have a cruise control to simply set and maintain a speed. Yes, he doesn't have an adaptive cruise control and maybe not quite as fully equipped as a Leapmotor T03. Whether you always need that in everyday life to get from A to B, that's for you to decide. I don't even want to judge that. You can easily compare both cars well through our videos. Here in the middle, nice, colorful info display where you have everything, speed, traffic sign recognition, consumption, charge status, all that stuff we're familiar with. Indicator lever, wiper lever, everything looks nice down here. The only thing I don't find so cool, as I already mentioned with Renault, is the volume control and operation of the infotainment. It might require a bit of getting used to, but here too, they've opted for a modern touch and treated themselves to a nice, proper-looking display.
Sure thing.
Have a look here. There's an on-off switch up there, and you can adjust the volume using the plus and minus. You've got a home menu level here where you can connect the phone and where the media player is connected. I have Apple CarPlay connected wirelessly here, so it can function in a wireless manner as well as with the option of using a cable. I think it's really stylish. Then we essentially have the different music sources here once more. Of course, that also works with Android Auto. You have Bluetooth audio if you don't have either an Apple or an Android phone. You've got AM radio. Does that even still exist?
Yeah, I believe so. There are still frequencies, yes.
USB input, so if you have a stick or something like back in the day, you can load photos, media, all sorts of things here. Featuring albums, artists, and who knows what more. We have a nicely organized tile layout where we can adjust various settings right here. Similar to here, once again, there are different menu levels such as energy options, programs, and battery status, where you can once again just look. Even vehicle to load appears to be working here, and vehicle to grid seems to be intended to work here eventually as well. I actually think that's pretty cool too. So the Dacia Spring Electric somehow offers everything. Pedestrian warning sound. Look, plug-in charge might also be somehow connectable. Just plug it in and it starts charging, so I have to say it could be right. Yeah, so and if we take another look here at the variety of music we have, we've curated a special electric playlist exclusively for you. I need to check into it, but you can post things like this online these days so that you can always enjoy our awesome music, which we often play for you at home too. Can't this be made public even like this? So now he's not getting louder here, is he? What's going on?
It did work out.
Is it set up for effect? We'll explore it further later. In any case, I believe it results in a good integration with Google Maps. Keep it nicely displayed on the screen. That's essentially what I was aiming to point out. And depending on the equipment, you might even get a Dacia's very own navigation system here. Yeah. We'll probably end up needing some sort of app or other stuff again, what we currently don't have, in order for it to function properly. Yes, then we have here again a button to lock and unlock the central locking system, hazard warning lights, an eco button for eco-friendly driving, and then here once more for the locking and unlocking of the rear windows. Then we can adjust the temperature here to be warmer or cooler. It's really cold for us today. So We don't need the recirculation function, otherwise we won't get any oxygen. Then we have the rear window defroster here, and this is probably the fan for the front. Do you perhaps know where we can quickly defrost, or we do have the AC to turn on, you know, like when we need the air conditioning during the summer. And you can control the ventilation in 8 levels with a rotary knob here. So a glance, 2 USB-C ports, then we have a large compartment here. I don't know if you can reach it, where the registration fits and all sorts of stuff. Our draggy is in there. I find it stylish too. And then we've got here, look, really modern, kind of on a platform, elevated. The gear selector is there, and we basically have both the drive mode and the brake mode incorporated for fine-tuning the strength of recuperation. You'll need to get accustomed to it. Just like the older versions, there's no P for park. No.
But we keep the hand church with us.
You know, that could be really cool in the winter, right? And nice to spin the back. Well, I mean, with 65 horsepower, it doesn't drift too much, but I think it's kind of awesome. And if you could get an armrest here in the accessories, something you can retrofit or order optionally, then you'd basically have everything you need. Yeah.
Surely.
So what we don't have here is a glass roof or anything, but I think you don't really need that in a small car. We have proper sun visors here, even without mirrors. In a pinch, we have mirrors at home. The ladies, of course, are welcome to hold a different opinion. As a gentleman, I truly can't recall ever having used a cosmetic mirror.
No idea.
At most, when my contact lens slipped, yeah.
You can then smoke it, but otherwise he doesn't smoke it.
You often check for pimples. No, it's definitely fun. But yeah, I think that's okay. And in the same way, the material here is also fine. Oh my God. I think it's all well crafted. It feels as soft as a carpet. Really, there's not much to complain about.
Nah, all good.
The view from the side gives you a nice look at the open structure and highlights how the seats themselves are formed. That's quite well crafted here with the faux leather. Then we have a fabric that's somewhat speckled in appearance. Again, faux leather with a nice detailed seam. It's all nicely finished with an integrated headrest, and I have some light lateral support here as well as slight thigh support. But in the end, Stefan, what are we expecting? With 65 horsepower, I don't think we'd be getting through here. Thrown around, right? We also have a 12-volt socket, which is important for some of you. Another cool feature here is the little rib storage section, where you can easily fit a men's bag or perhaps a small women's handbag. Below that, we have a nice big glove compartment, nicely done as well. Of course, a small rug or carpet might have been nice, but perhaps you don't absolutely need it. There's a beautiful carpet and a couple of floor mats in there, and naturally we've got here, right? The department tends to rattle now and then. Still, when considering the price, I find everything to be quite fair and still pretty okay. Of course, we also want to do the rear seat test with you. It's always a bit of a problem at 3.70 meters. I'm 6 feet 1 tall, fawn-like, weigh 99.9 kilos. Then we have this small door here that he has to sneak through first. That's already fine, and then he's already in. So it works for a short distance. Yes. So logically, my knees are touching the seat, which is adjusted to the B-pillar. My driver's seat is all the way back and down, and I still lack front space. But back here, it gets pretty tight, doesn't it?
There's not much more possible, yeah.
Yes, and otherwise, we've basically duplicated the pattern from front to back. I think all of this is quite stylish. It's also nice here with the fabric covered and a really nice big deep pocket where you can conveniently put stuff like a tablet or the kids' toys. It seems fine, yeah.
It's definitely more than enough for this.
Plastic work, but we're familiar with it.
For classes?
And just a short piece with 4 people, if there's not a walrus like me sitting up front, I think it's not a problem. Yes.
All fine.
So from that perspective, I think it's good. Yeah, the rear door trim isn't quite as nicely done as the front. They saved a little bit there again. Small fries holder, what I find the coolest, because we don't have it up front. There's a stick here, you know, yeah.
Great, yes.
That used to be so trendy back then, where you'd open and close it and knew through the stick whether it was open or closed, right? So in a way, Dacia has kind of really brought back that nostalgic retro feeling, wouldn't you say?
Yes, we've got child isofix, correct?
Yes, right. Child isofix. I nearly forgot that. Good you brought it up. Do we have here...
Yeah, I certainly see the label that says isofix, yeah.
But I'm unable to find these hooks anywhere, so that's likely the reason why there are isofix stickers placed here. However, I wasn't able to locate the rods this time, and additionally, we're also facing difficulty in making the backseat recliner latch firmly into its position. It seems it's probably a user error on our part, which is what I am currently inclined to assume. but we did everything pulled on straps. We pressed it a bit more firmly. We certainly don't want to damage anything with the demonstration car at the Renault dealership Piachowiak in Neubrandenburg without making any sneaky advertising again. Let's leave it as is before we break anything, but it doesn't snap in. Nope.
That's strange.
Yeah, and that's probably why I can't find the latches for the ISOFIX, because they're somewhere there too. That's just the way it is. We've shown you all there is both outside and inside. All right, let's kick things off with the Dacia Spring Electric Extreme, 65 horsepower, and I honestly would have loved to play you Roland Kaiser's Track Extreme. Don't you agree?
60.
I switched to drive mode. Are you ready to go? Yes. Are you holding on tight? Yes.
I'm scared. I'm pushing against the ground.
It's 48 kilowatts, 65 HP, right?
And over 110 Newton meters.
All right, let's make a sign.
3, 2, 1, and let's really get going now.
Wow, he's really taking off with quite some speed there. It's important to remember that he weighs just a single ton and a lean 40 kilograms.
Not much at all.
So with the two of us, we're not exactly weighing 1.2 tons.
About so, yes?
Except for the camera case, yes.
He just keeps tearing himself out.
But I must say, he starts off smoothly, yes.
He really does, that's true.
So if you think about it, we actually drove the first Dacia Spring Electric in Rostock. Can you remember? We took a look at it, pressed the gas hard, and reached the numbers 23, 24, and...
Then it actually got started. Yeah, just like that.
I must say the Extreme 65 is indeed already just a little bit more on the fluffier side. And for all the friends who, like us, live in the countryside in Mecklenburg, it's probably, even if you want to overtake a truck or drive across the country, probably such a 60 is quite desirable.
Certainly indeed.
Yes. The people who live in their urban environment between the housing containers, those high-rise blocks, the 45 is probably sufficient there too, right?
Yeah, I reckon that's true.
The impressive 113 Newton meters really make it grind here quite powerfully, but of course we also have an advanced electronic stability program on board. It's named something like My Safety or the like. Yeah.
K.
My Safety Personal, correct? You're actually able to then even here turn off ESC and so forth. Indeed suitable for the hen snail.
Because of traction and stuff, but look.
Made it to 100.
Strong.
Be careful not to move too quickly with the planer.
Yeah.
I really have to tell you, just for the city, like in an urban environment or a short trip across the countryside, yeah, who needs more?
Yeah, you really don't need to.
It almost feels like the asphalt, the road, and the wind noises come through a bit more clearly here. And naturally, it's likely not as insulated as a Mercedes S-Class as expected. Because with a Mercedes S-Class, you probably feel like you could get around 8, if not even 10, depending on the features included, around the bend, holding the handle, as long as it stays closed, and we don't tip over.
We're driving through the curve, you drift out now, and I, Max, bask in the warm sun.
Keep on driving and steer, you're going to make it through.
I call this the handbrake, dumb.
Yeah, I've got to say, now we're entering our winding road section here. Stefan will demonstrate how we smoothly take the curves here at a good 70 kilometers per hour. We also have a slightly damp surface. We enjoy being the guinea pig for you. We don't have the most direct steering right now. There's about a half-second delay that we can feel, but we're making it uphill.
Yes.
And we always take the curve at 70, right? So it doesn't start acting up there or anything. And it's not really bouncy or uncomfortable at all. It offers a firm yet very comfortable level of cushioning. Here comes a little bump in the road, handles it super smooth. Honestly, I have to tell you, right? Not that this is going to turn into another Gross Glockner High Alpine road robber, right? Yes. That's the small thing with a little Mutschkugel. It reaches 9 meters 50 externally. Oops. So, and then I managed to come around here really smoothly and super tightly all the way around Stefan. The only thing I don't have is, you might see, I don't have side support in the seats. That means I'm basically just hanging around here, so to speak. And the faster I go, I'm just hanging in the harness. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't have much lateral support, but it does the job properly. Wait a minute, now I'm swinging back. Ah, yes, now I'm back in the seat again. Whoa, without a passenger, you really have no side support, huh?
No, you definitely need someone there to support you.
But what we have here, for example, here in the Extreme 65 exhibition, if I now put it in reverse, we have a backup camera, right?
Yeah, strong.
It also has a sort of proportionality. I better take a look over my shoulder myself just to make sure I don't accidentally scrape this wonderful car against something. It's a bit pixelated, right?
Yeah, not really sure, but I would probably guess maybe around 480, 720p.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty cool that Dacia is offering it. Here's a package for 21,000. But then please do it properly, all right? Yes, I mean, it's nicely green, really lush and vibrant.
Definitely.
But take a look, it flickers somewhat and appears kind of pixelated. Yeah, so it's likely not the very best reverse camera available out there. It does exactly what it's meant to. You can see what's behind you. When needed, it's better than having none at all, don't you think? Getting around here is awesome, huh?
Sure, the tight turning radius.
It seems like the gentleman might decide to cross the street or perhaps not. I'll just go on driving, right? So from there, look at that. He's really taking off, isn't he? Strong. We want to measure the interior noise with you at 50 kilometers per hour. 71 decibels. Just for comparison, a VW ID3 is at 61 decibels. We are driving 72, 73 decibels. It doesn't get much louder. There's this hum. Let's speed up to 100. Soon there. We're at 75. 75 decibels, that's actually pretty okay. The ID3 can handle that too.
Given that there's truly minimal insulation here, it feels noticeably brighter overall.
We want to test the assistance systems with you, and first we have the traffic sign recognition. This one also works quite smoothly. And what also works quite well is the simple cruise control. That means we can set a speed, which we can also adjust here with the buttons. Are capable of making adjustments as needed and thereby modified to suit the specified speed, ensuring everything aligns seamlessly. Yes, now we essentially have the clearance to drive faster again. That means we can basically keep it pressed at 100 acceleration. Then it goes smoothly, he goes out 90, bam, up to 100, and then back there we essentially have 70 again. So we're dropping down to 70 here. He's basically using the brake mode that we have activated here instead of the drive mode with stronger recuperation. And this slows down the Dacia Spring Electric. We have now returned to a speed of 70 kilometers per hour at the sign. The sign was also displayed correctly. Yes, what we don't have now is really a lane-keeping assistant. He attempted to correct it ever so slightly, but really just so slightly. The curve was just sharper than the level of support provided. Yeah, and that's just the way it is. Oh, unfortunately, since he's not really managing to provide us with any meaningful help. Well, I found the support in the T03 a bit better. Yes.
He was better then. At least he stayed on track.
Yeah, so he didn't allow us to veer off the track because that can definitely turn into a serious safety issue, particularly if we're not paying close attention, like when we're somehow distracted. The child starts whining or something, or you're so deep in a discussion or perhaps caught up in a phone call that you don't pay attention at that moment. Then it's really cool when the car handles it more actively. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if you might still have the option to get that here with the Dacia Spring Electric, but that's just the way it is at the moment. I believe those considering vehicles in this specific price range and segment might not expect such features as standard. So in that sense, it might be. Talking at the highest level again. Feel free to write in the comments whether you say, I need it or I don't. Cruise control does it. The T03 even has adaptive control.
Absolutely.
Well, that was pretty nice.
Exactly, yeah.
I've switched over to the Eco program, which reduces the heating for us. Let's try and accelerate a little bit. It's clearly reduced over there as well, Stefan. Yes. So from no momentum to what is actually the slope of no momentum?
Less, truly no momentum.
Yes. So in a certain way, the Dacia Spring Electric sort of takes away a bit of that vibe. This cool sensation of e-mobility, where you feel a punch of power. In other words, when you press hard on the accelerator here, just like I'm doing now, you really start to feel that it manages to deliver some noticeable torque. Then you'll notice that it accelerates quickly and relatively smoothly, but it's not as dramatic as it usually is compared to the combustion engine. That's what I mean. So the eco mode is really very eco-friendly. You probably really need it on the last mile, you know? If you're barely able to reach your destination with your range and battery level.
Right, then you switch it around and perhaps you're a little safer overall, yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise I think when you already have barely any performance, even less performance? That's nonsense. Yes. We've arrived at our ultimate test track, ready to do the 0 to 100 launch with you. Steffen, go ahead and give us that countdown. 3, 2, 1, go, and off he goes, picking up speed. 20, 40, 60, this year's 70, 80, 90, 100. And then once we hit that speed, we want to perform the brake test alongside you. Right now, there's certainly no one trailing behind us. He delays relatively late, but he does come to a stop.
Yes, we also have values if I see this correctly. We have 0 to 60 in 5.49, 0 to 100 in 14.2, and from 100 to 0 in 3.58.
Yeah, so the braking value probably feels different compared to what it actually is. That was okay, right?
Absolutely indeed.
So it has decent brakes. That's always important for you. Whenever you're in an emergency situation where you need to brake and initiate an emergency stop, you should, of course, come to a halt quickly. Yeah, I buzz off nicely with its 113 Newton meters, right?
Yeah, he briefly shows his abilities.
I gotta say, it's easygoing acceleration, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty relaxed, even when looking out the window.
Yes, but in the end, it's enough. Most people will use it in the city, maybe take a short trip to visit friends or family in the countryside, or perhaps go on a little weekend getaway. Yeah, oh my God, Sacramento. So with the two of us prayer brothers plus our camera equipment, yeah, I think that's okay, right?
Definitely, absolutely.
And they often say with 1 horsepower for each kilogram, that's actually not too bad. And I'd say you can definitely take sharp right turns because I'm a bit cautious on the left. About the seat support, yes.
Of course.
We want to take you on a short drive on the highway, of course, and you come back in the right turn. I can nicely take a smooth cruise on the highway here. Let's gain a bit of momentum, don't you think?
Car?
Nice taking the curve at 60 here, but it's solid. No whistling, no hissing, no squealing. And we exit the curve at Sibzig, accelerate, set up in the left lane. He's already at 90, going towards 100. Accelerates further through 110 kilometers per hour, 115, 120, and surpassed the top speed of 125. I thought 130, and yes, I mentioned it. Turns out I was right. The Dacia Spring Electric 65 in the extreme variant reaches 130 kilometers per hour. So in the end, we are both correct. Both the data sheet and the top speed align, right?
Right, exactly. We were correct.
So let's see if we can get the cruise control working here. Yes, wonderful. We don't have cruise control or steering assistance, so we might be slightly susceptible to wind here. You see the wind turbines in the back, but you're doing well. The suspension comfort is also quite good. As for the noise level, let's go ahead and turn on the decibel meter to see what readings we obtain. It will serve as an informative reference point. Let's take a careful and detailed look. "79 decibels I actually find okay. Now a passing car is coming. Let's see how it perceives it." Yeah,
All's calm.
we hear usual wind sounds here indicating nothing out of the ordinary is happening. And naturally, I'm sitting here like a squished sausage simply because of my build inside this compact car. But just a short little stretch on the highway, right?
Sure, Watcher.
I mean, the only thing that's rapidly going down at 130 is the battery level. Yeah.
I don't think it's made for the highway either.
No. Hey!
At least not for long.
Yeah, like a Dacia Spring Electric, right? So we could also go on a road trip, you know? Start a blog. Yeah.
Like a Muritz, begin and drive. Yes.
Awesome Muritz.
Yes, for example.
All right, let's take a closer look at and delve into the various aspects of driving and travel comfort that are available and present here in the Dacia Spring. Bring electric, and for that we have created a medium that gives us a certain neutrality on one hand, but on the other hand also precisely indicates where we are, and that is Steffen's popometer. Steffen, how's it going today?
Yes, well, I'm sitting here quite comfortably despite everything. Sure, when it comes to lateral support, and here with the door on one side, and on the other side the passenger, or respectively the driver, that helps you to stay on track a little bit. We've already discussed that, but essentially that's the purpose it's meant for in relation to this car. So it's meant for city and small suburban traffic, and it also has a comfortable suspension. Of course, due to the low stance, you do feel the bumps a bit more. Otherwise, we can absolutely leave that out here.
Yeah, so I don't think you should expect any masterpieces when it comes to the chassis here. He has a regular steel suspension, which is, in my perspective, tuned for a comfortable French style. Particularly when you're driving at higher speeds. In the lower speed range, I actually discovered it to possess a bit more overall stability. So if we were to drive in a bit of a zigzag line here, it would start to sway quite significantly. So there's truly minimal lateral sway control provided by the suspension and merely a certain degree of lean control available. I think overall it's also lacking a certain level of body rigidity. However, as I mentioned, there are engineers who can judge that better than I can. I can only perceive it subjectively as a driver. Otherwise, I think for the starting price at 16,900 euros in the base model, I believe it's okay. You travel from A to B with a nice level of travel comfort. It's perfectly fine whether you're driving through the city streets or venturing out into the countryside. But that's about all there was to it. Yes, it's just the start of a journey, to be completely fair. What always matters to me is that it can brake well. It proved that when we went from 100 to 0 to a stop, that it brakes properly. And otherwise, I'm hopeful that it offers sufficient crash safety measures. You can always read about it in the Euro NCAP crash test results, which show that in case of an emergency, you're somewhat protected because, after all, we all just have only one precious life each. And naturally, within this particular price range, it is entirely essential that it be protected to the maximum possible extent. It's equipped with airbags, ABS, ESC, and most certainly includes side impact protection, among other features. It offers a reliable level of performance given its price. Now let us move forward and conclude our discussion on the Dacia Spring Electric with a particular focus on the specific Extreme 65 variant we have examined here. We're looking at a vehicle price of around 21,000 euros with the features you've seen here. And yes, there he is. Still more in the entry-level price range. I find him almost, if you compare him to something like a Leapmotor T03 now, almost feels a bit too expensive.
Yes. That seems about right.
The Leapmotor offers that. Feel free to check the video, I'll link it in the description. I find for 18,900 euros fully equipped, maybe even a little bit more than the Dacia Spring Electric, especially when it comes to assist systems like keeping the lane or even having an adaptive cruise control on board. So what could be the advantage here is also having Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, provided it actually works then. Since we haven't been successful yet in getting the radio to work, nor any kind of interface, I find that somewhat weak too. I think if it were my car and I'd have to return to the Dacia dealer to solve something like that, I'd find it a bit disappointing. But you have to honestly address it. Could be a user error from our side again. But otherwise, I just find it stylishly snazzy. So in the end, you just have to, I think, decide between these two vehicles. If you want a European car, which I believe is also built in China, the Dacia Spring Electric, I'm not sure exactly. It used to be like that, undeniably. Or would one now prefer to have a vehicle engineered and designed in China, which will, of course, in the near future be assembled in Poland? Somehow the market, the auto industry is also in total transition. Sometimes you just don't know where which car is still being manufactured. Yeah, like I said, starting at 16,900 euros is, I think, the lower limit. But essentially, you can manage to get from point A to point B. With 25 kilowatt hours, as seen in this vehicle here, I believe you can potentially achieve a range of up to around 200 kilometers in urban traffic during the summer months. Although here we now have an average consumption of 20.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Our average consumption was 20.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We drove fast, keeping 130 on 2 highway exits. This naturally drives up the overall fuel consumption in a vehicle that has approximately a solid ton of empty weight. I know that some of you have even managed to drive it under 10 kilowatt hours during the summer season. Therefore, it can indeed be driven with great efficiency. I'm really eager to hear all of your thoughts and opinions. How do you view the Dacia Spring Electric when comparing it to the Leapmotor T03, and where might your personal preference most likely tend to go? Let's have a conversation about that in the comments section below. And with that said, let's wrap up and conclude today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. Please check again if you're part of the Simple Electric community. We would be thrilled if you could support us with a subscription, which is free for you, and it really helps us a lot in continuing our work. A heartfelt thanks also extends to the Pia Howiak car dealership here in Neubrandenburg, as well as in Waren an der Müritz, for consistently providing us with the newest Renault and Dacia models for you all. Yes, and there's just one thing left to say. Thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy and see you soon. Yours, Ollie. So what do you actually say about this mega bump, Stefan?
Actually, I would leave it uncommented. Can it also receive signals from alien worlds?
That would indeed be quite exciting. Are you suggesting he somehow jumps into the galaxy itself or something like that? Anything is really possible.